Hey everybody, Thomas Joseph here. Now this St. Patrick's Day, you are probably looking forward to making some of your favorite traditional dishes at home. And today I'm gonna share with you a foolproof method for making Irish soda bread from scratch. So let me show you how. So Irish soda bread, you guys, if you don't know, is a very traditional lean quick bread. Quick bread meaning that it's a bread that's made not with yeast, but chemical leaveners like soda, baking soda, and baking powder. And it's really simple to make. It's like making a giant scone. So let me show you how to do that. So first what we're gonna do is make our own buttermilk. So I have 1 3/4 cups of whole milk here. And this is at room temperature, you guys. And I'm gonna add 1/3 cup of cider vinegar to this. You could add some other type of acid, like you could use lemon juice or you could use a different vinegar, just something that's going to curdle the milk. So this just needs to sit for about 5 minutes. It's gonna get nice and thick and a little chunky, and then we'll be ready to use it in our Irish soda bread. For the dry ingredients, while that's sitting, I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour here. To this, I'm gonna add 2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. So this is a coarse salt, you guys. Make sure that you're using the coarse salt in this recipe, and for the majority of our recipes, we use coarse salt here, so don't use fine salt. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, baking soda is the classic leavener here for Irish soda bread. And what it's going to do is it's gonna actually react with our acidulated milk, our buttermilk here. So I'm gonna sift together the dry ingredients so the leavener is evenly dispersed. And to this, I'm going to add 1 cup of wheat bran here. And this adds really great texture, also fantastic fiber, and 1/4 cup of caraway seeds. Now, caraway seeds are kind of a classic flavor in Irish soda bread. Caraway seeds give that wonderful flavor to rye bread. So if you are familiar with rye bread, this is the same signature flavor. They smell so good. And 1/4 cup, it may seem like a lot, but it actually isn't too overpowering here in our Irish soda bread. So I'm gonna mix this together. And now I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's chilled. And I'm gonna use a pastry cutter, or you can do this with your fingers, to just break up the butter and short it into the dough. Now this is gonna create little kind of pea-sized pieces, or it will make this flour mixture resemble cornmeal in a way. And what's gonna happen is when this goes into the oven, those little tiny pieces of butter are going to melt, create steam, and similar to how we would make biscuits or scones, that steam is gonna create wonderful air pockets, which will give lightness to our Irish soda bread. So typically, Irish soda bread is a very lean dough, meaning that there's hardly any fat that's used in the dough. But this recipe calls for 1/2 stick, 4 tablespoons of butter, which does add a nice richness to this dough. And again, it does offer a little bit of lightness. I'm not using egg or sugar here. I'm kind of doing a very classic soda bread. So this looks good. You can see the mixture resembles kind of a coarse cornmeal. There are little kind of pea-sized pieces of butter in the mix here, and that's really what you're looking for. Again, that will help to give lightness to our Irish soda bread. Now I'm going to add 1 cup of raisins. Now you could add currants here, or maybe golden raisins. It's really nice to have a little bit of fruit and sweetness and concentrated flavors in a bread like this. I'm gonna create a well in the center of the bowl here. And now I'm gonna take my buttermilk mixture, and you can see how it totally changes texture, it curdles slightly, and that's really from the apple cider vinegar that we used to make our own buttermilk. So this is going right into the center of the bowl, and using a wooden spoon, I'm just gonna mix this together. And you want the flour and the buttermilk to be evenly incorporated, but you don't want to over mix this. Since there is very little fat and there's no sugar in this bread, if you over agitate this, if you really kind of develop gluten in the flour, in the dough, you're gonna end up with something that's really, really tough. So we wanna be light and gentle with this just until the mixture comes together, which it is here. And now I'm going to shape this dough on a parchment-lined baking sheet. And you really don't need to be intimidated by making this at home because it's super simple to make. You don't need that many exotic ingredients. I think the only exotic ingredient here would be the caraway seeds, but you can find caraway seeds at your local grocery store. And I'm just gonna bring this together with floured hands. So you wanna make sure that this is nice and tall and compact. 7 inches in diameter is ideal. So now, one thing that you need to do is you need to score this loaf. So I'm gonna take a paring knife and just cut about 3/4 of an inch down into the dough, cutting a cross. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna allow the bread to expand without creating this hard, tough crust on top. And this is really what we want. We want the dough to really be able to expand in the oven because it cooks for a very long time, about 1 hour and 10 minutes at 350 degrees. And if we didn't create this X here, if we didn't score the bread, what would happen is the dough would be really kind of compact. We'd create this crust over the top, it wouldn't be able to expand, and we'd end up with something that's very dense. Another thing that I like to do is I like to cover the Irish soda bread for the first half of the baking process. So again, this will bake for about 1 hour and 10 minutes, so this will stay on for about 30 minutes. And it does a very similar thing. It allows the bread to not create a really impenetrable crust on the top so that it can expand and you'll end up with a nice light Irish soda bread in the end. So into the oven, 350 degrees, 30 minutes, take off the aluminum foil, and then you can bake it for another 30 to 40 minutes. All right, guys, so the Irish soda bread, it's been out of the oven, it's cooled completely. You wanna make sure that you let the bread, any breads that you do, cool completely before slicing into them. Otherwise, they'll dry out on you. And you can see how nice and light and golden it is on the top. And this is really from using that tinfoil method. It doesn't develop too hard of a crust that's gonna crack your teeth. And it also allows the bread to expand. The bottom is nicely browned, but not burnt. And the best way, I think, to serve Irish soda bread is to serve it with some really great Irish butter. And the inside here, you guys, is perfectly cooked, but yet it's still moist. You can see that the dough isn't completely dried out, which most Irish soda breads, if you've ever made them before, can be pretty dry and crumbly. So this is really nice and moist, and I think the raisins really help here, and also that little bit of extra added fat from the butter. I'm gonna cut a nice long slice and cut it in half. I have some salted Irish butter, which is really fantastic, but you can enjoy this in any way you'd see fit. And you know what, you guys? That's so easy. Try making this at home. Irish soda bread, it's really fantastic. It doesn't take much time at all, and you will end up with something that's really, really impressive that you can share with your family or friends. And as always, if you have any kitchen conundrums, let us know. Comment in the section below or reach out to us using the hashtag Kitchen Conundrums. Enjoy. And as always, guys, click like and subscribe.